the hero.
So you may have seen a certain character online that just about either everybody seems to either love or just straight up hate. He looks like Mr. Incredible, but he is green and his superpowers are gassy. Yes, I am talking about the Incredible Gassy. Probably one of the weirdest characters ever created in the 21st century, dog. Like, just imagine, people in the 1960s were envisioning for the future to be a bright one. A world in which flying cars and world peace would be achieved. But instead, the best they got was a hero who likes to be gassy a lot. And also a kid shouting 6'7". Now, it's important to know that with every hero, there's always a dark origin that's never been told behind the scenes. You may think it's all sunshines and rainbows, but it's actually a lot more mysterious than you might think. And the Incredible Gassy lore is no stranger to that at all. And so for today's video, I'm gonna be telling you the really dark truth behind one of the internet's most wildest forms of shock humor of all time that's currently really popular. It's still popping off. Like, literally, Incredible Gassy always just seems to creep up when you least expect it. So, ladies and gentlemen, sit back and enjoy the show, because it's only gonna get more gassier from here. What exactly is the Incredible Gassy to begin with? Because the Incredible Gassy is based around a character from the 2004 animated film, The Incredibles. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've been seeing a really huge resurgence coming from The Incredibles. Like, the movie has been facing a really huge resurgence ever since, like, the beginning of the 2020s. Mostly because of, like, fan theories revolving around the character of Gamma Jack, which is supposed to be, like, supposedly the Homelander equivalent of the Incredibles universe. And with the third movie going into production pretty soon, so there's a lot of hype to be going around with the Incredibles franchise, I guess you would say, right? And it has never been a more time to be more incredible. Wow, so original. Boo! Then again, it doesn't surprise me that people still really love The Incredibles and just really would love to talk about it more. The Incredibles still holds up as one of the greatest animated movies to come out, simply because of the clever writing, and surprisingly has one of the most darkest plots for an animated film. Like, people literally die in this film, whether that's just being implied or being on screen. Like, this movie was pretty dark when you actually start to, you know, get more understanding of the plot. Because if nothing screams a kid's movie, then the first 7 minutes of the film, a man jumps off the building falling to his death. I think the film still holds up pretty well. It's one of my favorite animated films of all time. And that's definitely not just because I was born the same year the movie came out. Definitely no bias around that. At least give it a shot. You know, see if you like it. I mean, most superhero movies that come out nowadays don't really have much of a story or message that they want to tell. The Incredibles has a good story behind it and a good message. It's a story about reminiscing about nostalgia and also about how the glory days used to be, but also not to hide your talents from society just because people don't want you to. I think it's a really great movie. Pretty awesome movie. However, the second movie, not so much. But hey, at least it's better than some other movies out there that Pixar has done well. Like, Turning Red. Point of the message of that movie was, for my mind, I gather, was this meme. Turn on the TV, they hit the Pentagon! They hit the Pentagon! Which just goes to show you that 21 years later, that this movie still has a dedicated fan base. Like, it is such a strong fan base that it just breaks some people to do some really nasty things. And I mean really nasty things on the side. The year is 2021. The world is recovering from the redacted virus. Joe Biden is president. Bruh. And $19 Fortnite cards are facing huge booms in sales.
$19 Fortnite card. Who wants it?
However, one day which single-handedly changed internet shock humor forever. An artist by the name of Bobo Comics was commissioned to do a fart fetish animation of a Mr. Incredible character look-alike that is morbidly obese, wearing a lime green suit, with his main superpowers being that of farting, while also pleasuring himself with a sex toy. You know, I have to keep it PG-13 because you never know how YouTube is gonna handle this video. Now, for some context, right? Bobo Comics was an artist from Mexico. Yes, Mexico.
Sí, señor, yo soy de rancho, soy de caballo.
Alright, big stuff from the future here. Alright, so I just want to point this out real quick. The only reason why I said that Bobo Comics, I claimed that he was Mexican, was because there was a Twitter account claiming that it was Bobo Comics and he was based around Mexico. Bobo Comics was known to make very suggestive gay parodies of animated characters in Patreon for a price, of course. And one of these commissioned arts was actually the Incredible Gassy. Yes, someone paid Bobo Comics to literally just make a fat Mr. Incredible that is green that likes to be gassy. Yes, so someone with real money, with a job, paid Bobo to do that. Can you believe what people would pay for nowadays?
What?
No, all right. I know that sounds bad.
Like, honestly, I'm not even surprised. Like, listen, there's a lot bigger things to waste your money on, but I'm not sure if Mr. Incredible fetish animations are on the top of my list. I'm just saying, dog. Now, it's not really known who exactly commissioned Incredible Gassy. Or maybe it's just some sort of cover-up for all we know. Probably people like Pyrocynical could have paid for Bobo Comics to do it.
And then, oh fuck.
But as of right now, we just have like no lead on who created the greatest hero to be commissioned, right? Nah, because imagine waking up one day and you just have the sudden urge to commission your favorite not safe for work artist to draw you Mr. Incredible fetish content. I'm honestly quite impressed how far we come as a species, right? We literally created the light bulb, cars, and smartphones. To now, we are literally creating Mr. Incredible animation. So after the original commission was finished from Bobo himself, right? The Incredible Gassy art didn't really stay hidden for quite some time. It actually was just about to just get a lot worse. Like a true hero, he stays hidden until his name is being called out. Now, the animation started leaking onto platforms like Twitter, Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, and other various platforms around the internet. It was mostly used as shock humor where people had absolutely no idea what they were looking at. It was pretty strange. And with the question always floating around, just why?
Why? Why?
And why would someone be paid to make this? Incredible Gassy animation started spreading like like a zombie virus in a movie film, all right? Like it was really spreading. And now we are feeling the full effects today. But this meme first started getting traction in like late 2021 to early 2022. And edits of the character, usually paired with the captions like, oh, this comment section needs a hero. Oh, this redacted needs a hero. Anything involving like the classic superhero phrase was replaced with the incredible slang. People were just absolutely just going ham on this meme, dog. People were making ironic edits, fake AI movie posters, even birthday wish AI videos.
Happy birthday, Logan! Did you really think Incredible Gassy would let this day slip out like a silent one? Here's your gift.
And people were even creating hidden lore about the Incredible Gassy, like being like a lost member of the Incredibles or just some sort of like secret character that no one has ever thought to pay attention, which is just oh, okay. Over time, the memes started showing up in comment sections, reaction posts, compilation videos. Hell, they might have even showed up in your mother's Facebook page. Users had no idea where he came from. People were just using it with no context of why the animation was just even drawn to begin with. Once this meme had just kind of spread more and more people are just finding about the incredible heroism of Incredible Gassy, I think it's safe to say that the Incredible Gassy has now become a true staple of modern 2020 shock humor in the internet. The Gen Alpha equivalent of Goatsy. Basically, pretty much. So, I know a lot of you may be wondering, how exactly did Bobo Comics react to the sudden, just a viral sensation that was his animation that was supposed to be a one-time thing? Well, you see, what's funny is that Bobo Comics never even intended for any of this to even happen, right? It wasn't even intended just to even spread as it even did. Sure, Bobo did have a Patreon where people could, you know, see artworks that he was commissioned to do, right? But it was never supposed to be, you know, just thrown out in the wild, right, for people to see, right? It was supposed to be like just in its own community, right? The Incredible drawing was supposed to just be a private commission, all right? Just straight up, just one and done for the person, for just some sort of people to enjoy, right? But of course, maybe there is some sort of like theory that, you know, some people just leaked it just because of just how absurd that animation was. I mean, like, the internet just kind of turned into something much bigger than it could ever be. When the meme started spreading across the internet, people began associating the Incredible Gassy character directly with him, with Bobo Comics. Mostly because of the distinct art style. Now, Bobo Comics has had a Discord server, however, I'm not really sure if that is still up.
Hey there, Gassy gangsters. It's your boy, EDP445. Discord needs a hero. Will you answer the call? Join the Bobo Cord at discord.gg/BoboComics.
And from what I've heard, right, people have asked him what exactly was the motivation behind, you know, taking up the Incredible Gassy character, right? However, Bobo Comics has claimed that it was supposed to be a commission and just someone paid him to draw it. You know, he didn't come up with the concept, but nevertheless, he was just kind of the paid, he was the messenger, basically. And also, I heard some people say that even Bobo has admitted himself that he didn't even like to even enjoy drawing that type of fetish gassy content, right? Bobo has claimed supposedly that he only did these types of art pieces just so that people could just have a certain request for him to make. If there was no material that Bobo was given, he probably would not have drawn it. But if someone were to ask him like, hey, I want Mr. Incredible in a really weird manner, he might have drawn it. Now, I don't want to jump into like any sort of like conspiracy theories or any sort of conclusions, right? Because, but like, as I was researching through some of Bobo's art, I'm noticing there's a really much a common pattern about just the Disney characters just, you know, being in this sort of like kinky manner and this sort of like weird fetish content. So it kind of does convince me in a way that maybe he did have a lot of prior history of making sort of like these unhinged, like Incredible Gassy type of content. But who knows, really? But yeah, pretty much after the just viral hits that was Incredible Gassy, Bobo Comics himself just kind of decided to just pull the plug and just decided to just kind of distance himself from the meme and from social media altogether. I mean, I don't blame the guy. If I was the guy that created one of the worst pieces of animation of just like Rule 34 art, I would probably try to distance myself from that art piece as humanely possible. Because the last thing I want to be remembered as is the guy that made the Mr. Incredible farting. Alright? What was meant to be a private commission later turned into a cult classic status of a meme. His own creation literally turned back against him. Alright? Whether it was for the good or bad reasons, it's honestly up to you. But as time really just kind of passed by, right? Bobo was like really getting frustrated with just the amount of just coverage and how so many people were just bugging him about the Incredible Gassy meme. It even came into a point, right, where Bobo himself literally did not even want to try to capitalize or even associate himself with the meme to just, I don't know. You know how like certain artists, you know, would try to, you know, lean onto that virality of like, you know how like there's Brazilian Hatsune Miku and some sort of like art trends, right? Bobo really was not anything like that. He really was, but he really did not even enjoy even making Incredible Gassy. And I'm pretty sure his mental health was really not in the well place for him to just kind of have like everybody talk about Incredible Gassy. And I could kind of get that. If a lot of people ask you about hey, if you made this certain thing and ask you why, constantly why you did it, right? It could kind of feel annoying and your mental health just kind of deteriorates from there. I can honestly understand. But yeah, but this eventually all led to Bobo eventually just deleting everything associating with stuff on the internet. Not just like not posting Patreon sketches or just like sketches off his Twitter or anything. He wanted to just completely nuke his entire art base altogether, meaning that everything that Bobo has made, whether that being from really kinky Disney like parodies to Incredible Gassy, everything was gone. Everything was gone. Delete. Meaning that the Incredible Gassy is now literally considered lost media.
I need a minute to think about this.
We officially have Mr. Incredible Gassy lost to media before GTA 6. He essentially started a One Piece treasure hunt for all of the lost media that Bobo himself created. This eventually led a huge amount of like lost media explorers to find any deep meaning behind Bobo's artworks, looking for any scraps remaining of the Incredible Gassy animation, anything related to that animation, or just any sort of like sketches or just anything that was just associated with Bobo entirely. And surprisingly, a lot of people have found a lot of things over the years. People have found even some early concept art of the Incredible Gassy animation, and it has some really interesting sketches. All right, I can't obviously show you most of these because they do have some obvious just like family jewels up in there, but I will show you some of these, and honestly, they look kind of cool. They look kind of cool, moments before disaster type beat, but it's honestly kind of cool that even Bobo had, just sketches of how this whole thing planned out, right? Some people have even found that supposedly the Incredible Gassy was not also by himself. There was also other Incredible Gassy characters. There was a screenshot of Bobo Comics promoting the Incredible Gassy animations as a 3-pack on Patreon, each having a different character by the names of the Incredible Hole, the Incredible Fatty, and the one we all know and love, Incredible Gassy. Now, it's not really known if these are supposed to be like the same character or just different characters, but knowing how like the whole superhero theme and line of like universes seem to play around the multiverse, Bobo might have had a multiversal team up animation of the 3 Incredibles characters, kind of similar to that of Spider-Verse. Maybe reaching it, I don't know, but it seemed like it was a high possibility. Now, I want to mention this just real quick. All the things I just said are just recently have been discovered only by this year. A Reddit user by the name of Novelty Bagel, who posted on r/lostmedia with partially lost Bobo Comics Incredible Fatty animation. Greetings r/lostmedia. If you use the internet throughout the past few years, there's a chance you've seen the Incredible Gassy meme. The meme itself is a pretty grotesque animation of an obese Mr. Incredible farting and writing on it. Originally, this animation was made as a commission by an artist named Bobo Comics. The animation came in a pack. However, 2 other animations related to the Incredibles, as ridiculous as it sounds, these animations are completely lost from the internet. This image, a high quality render of it, not from the animation, is the only thing we have as proof of its existence. And this links directly into an image which I'm definitely not going to show because this links to a very bad site. I know this post seems like a bit of a shot in the dark, judging by the absolute ridiculous of the source material, but I genuinely cannot find anything of the animation anywhere. It doesn't help that there's no way to contact the original artist Bobo Comics, as he's currently shut down all of his socials and Patreon. Guys, if this doesn't show you that, the Incredible Gassy has a pretty loyal fan base, then I don't know what else can tell you otherwise. There are even people just speculating on the fact that Bobo Comics could have been some sort of like former animator from Disney that was like fired for obviously good reason. Kind of similar to that of Animan. Like, I did not expect so many people to be really dedicated for this incredible, fetish character, all right? And just finding absolute, just like really just hidden discoveries of people trying to discuss it over Reddit. It's truly amazing, honestly, how these sort of creations can bring people together. Now, of course, I found most of these on a subreddit called r/gassers, which just contains the average gassy kink art that a lot of people like myself really do not appreciate. But if that's what you like, I am not judging you, alright? Like, you are free to like what you want, but it's just not my cup of tea. This sudden obsession with hunting for any sort of scraps related to the incredible Gassy animations or just anything Bobo comics has become so unhinged that there are literally people even supposedly finding secret pictures of a leaked photo of Bobo Comics' real face. Now, if that is actually what the guy looks like, then that's kind of a bit shocking. Because when someone imagines a not safe for work artist to look like, it's usually always in the very not so really pleasant to look at. But if that's actually him, wow. I'm kind of impressed. However, there is really no confirmation that this could be him. For all we know, maybe somebody was really just inspired to take up his name considering Bobo's absence. But honestly, who knows? Even as I tried to look at his Twitter account, it's just completely empty. Now, the only active platform that Bobo could still be active on is Discord, and more specifically on his Discord server. However, I do not know if this Discord server is currently up. I've seen rumors that it kind of is, but as I'm aware, it's currently really hard to even join it and even find it. And I've seen people just say of like how they could even get into it. And there are just some people that just refuse to even just send invites, you know. Apparently, motherfuckers are really just gatekeeping not safe for work corn for the masses. For the masses, it's. But yeah, currently in the year 2025, it's almost 2026, and Bobo Comics hasn't created any new material for fans to enjoy. But it's okay, because the incredible Gassy has now become a household name, and it's now become even more mainstream to where the point that even AI programs like Vigil AI advertise incredible Gassy as one of the top templates for you to make really trashy edits for you and your friends to humiliate themselves.
Getting gasified
is worse than going to hell.
Getting gasified.
The meme is still getting traction in the most unconditional ways possible, and I can only imagine what Bobo is currently feeling seeing his once private invention never to be made public, later to be turned into a massive inside joke among the internet. Is kind of a crazy turn. But it's also ironic, right? Because in The Incredibles, right, superheroes are banned, right? And this leads to basically Mr. Incredible having to hide from the public, right? And I think it's just kind of poetic that Bobo himself also distanced himself from society because of his works around society. It's honestly pretty ironic when you even think about it. Dude, I didn't even think it was that connected until now.
Coincidence? I think not!
Like Bobo Comics literally pulled like Mr. Incredible's like seeing himself on the computer screen with the terminated sign. Like literally. But still, at the end of the day, man, I can't believe like that one drawing, alright, one series of animations really just kind of made one person really just decide that, hey, I'm done drawing. I'm done with this fetish drawing sort of content that I've been doing my entire life. I think it's time to move on. It's honestly a really wild turn of events, but honestly, I hope Bobo himself is doing great. And this is just one of those many cases, right, where sometimes the thing you created is sometimes your biggest downfall. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of, I don't know, Incredible Gassy and Lost Media. But you know, at least now you finally know the true story behind the dark truth, I should say, about Incredible Gassy. So anyways, you guys, have yourselves a damn good one. Be safe out there. And remember, this world needs a hero. And all heroes come in all shapes and sizes. If you're ever in a sticky situation where your life might be in danger, just know that there's always a hero lurking around. And his favorite color just might be green. So anyways, guys, have yourselves a damn good one. And peace out, y'all.